Let's all have a moment of silence for our fallen hero. DENNOU COIL brings you right into an excellent premise. What if those Google glasses your rich asshole friends wore back in the day thinking they were hot shit actually took off? And furthermore, what if those glasses allowed you to merge reality with a digital interface? And what if all these elementary school kids were super hackers? You ever asked yourself these questions as you lie in bed at night, trying to come up with the perfect anime to watch? Well, look no further than DENNOU COIL. I guarantee you probably haven't seen it. There's like 43 people that have. Welcome back to the program, everybody. Today we're taking a look at DENNOU COIL, so, yeah. The important thing to remember when it comes to DENNOU COIL's characters is most of them are children and they frequently make eye-rolling decisions. Especially this little turd who runs around and yells poop all the time unless her cyber soul gets stolen by spooky internet ghosts or some shit. I guess she's like 3 or 4 or something, but come on. Even I was a little brighter than that. I mean, I was already showing artistic promise in preschool by painting on the bathroom wall with my own dumps. Wait a minute, hang on. There has to be a better example around here somewhere. The show paints a pretty realistic picture of youth, maybe not in the same way as something like, I don't know, Barakamon, but in that these kids make selfish and dumb decisions frequently, and part of their character arcs involve them learning from their mistakes and growing up. As far as individual characterization went, there are really only 2 or 3 characters to receive such prime treatment, and the rest of the cast mostly served to back them up or dump exposition. The main character, Yuko, or Yasuko, worked well as a lead, even if she did stray dangerously close to Mary Sue territory towards the conclusion. Hey, speaking of the conclusion, let's just go over that real quick while I'm thinking about it, because, It was certainly a thing that happens. The show builds this really believable science fiction world in the initial 19 episodes or so, and then the ending just sort of blindsides you with plot points that require a little more suspension of disbelief than I was willing to give. I mean, it was a solid ending, don't get me wrong, but now I need to book the next rocket to Neptune in order to rescue my eyebrows, since I raised them so hard they flew off my face and went sailing into the stratosphere. While we're talking about conclusions, the wrap-up to the second primary arc of the show, while honestly great by itself, was sort of undercut by the final act's finale. Like, spoilers here, but Yasuko tells Harukin that she loves him and then nothing. This show doesn't even seem to remember it set up a romance between these two until the very last episode where it's briefly touched on again. Also, I'm of the mindset that Yasuko brought Isekai back through the power of lesbians, and I have a lot of doujinshi to back me up. I mean, look at this. What part of this is saying she's in love with Harukin? Absolutely nothing. I'm telling you, dude, they, what's the word I'm looking for? They fucked. Back up to what I said earlier about exposition dumping. This show creates a very in-depth world with the definitely not Google glasses that the characters wear, and sometimes it all just sort of takes a break and has somebody dump a bunch of exposition. And normally that sort of thing bothers me a little, but it didn't really here, based solely on the grounds that the world in this show feels like it's just barely been explored by the time the final episode rolls around. Honestly, I'd be completely on board with the show set in the same universe, although like I mentioned earlier, this anime is criminally underexposed, so the odds of that ever happening are about as likely as Google Glasses ever coming back and becoming a hot ticket again. Luckily, the visual presentation does a spectacular job of building what we see in the cyber world, with pretty much nothing to complain about from me. I have to mention the animation here, as it was spectacular throughout, which would be the seeming result of having an anime original directed and created by legendary animator Mitsuo Iso. Granted, there were a few wide shots where if you look too close, you'll see some weird looking shit, but hey, I can't complain when the rest of the animation for the series is so consistent. CGI is also a big player here, but it was used in a clever way to alienate the digital world from the real world, so good job on that. Also, on the topic of consistency, props to the artist for keeping a set color palette that really helps sell the mood of the scene sometimes. I feel like I see a lot of anime nowadays that just loves to shove color in the viewer's face, like it's a fucking preschooler with a box of 64 crayons that they just don't know what to do with. While I'm still on mood, I would say that DENNOU COIL's biggest strength is just that. Through its excellent premise, the show wraps you in with its hazy, muted colors and string quartet type soundtrack, thus proving that the folks involved in the production knew exactly what they wanted and how they wanted you, the viewer, to feel. Couple that with spectacular sound design, something you'll know I'm a sucker for if you've been here for a while, and you have some genuinely standout scenes, like the episodes where the characters are trapped in a house with these legitimately terrifying cyber creatures after them. Through mood and sound design alone, these episodes made me feel incredibly uneasy, and I have to commend the showrunners for being able to infuse that sort of fear and tension. DENNOU COIL is a really cool show, and I'm glad I watched through it. I've seen it described as a children's show, and I have to say that I honestly don't think that it is. I mean, there really isn't any objectionable content here, but some of the themes presented will certainly fly over the head of a younger viewer. You know, themes that are relevant today, like the over-reliance and general consistent use of personal electronics hurting our relationship with the real world, questioning what defines reality, you know, stuff that your average first grader just thinks about daily. Do I recommend DENNOU COIL? Oh yeah.